Okay, so this tutorial is going to be a very basic introduction to Blender. So the purpose of this tutorial is just to get you familiar with the software, see how easy it is, and to try out if it piques your interest to do something on 2D or 3D animation. So here we go. So yeah, of course, download Blender. You'll get the latest version on the Blender website. I'm currently working on Blender 2.8. So we'll just open a new file, general. So you will be confronted with this default cube. It's already selected. So just press X and delete it. What we're going to do is add a plane here, Shift A, mesh and plane. So that adds a 2 meter by 2 meter plane. I'm not going to change any of the default attributes here. So I'll just click on the plane here. Now let's get into the view where we want the animation to take place. So this is the floor where I'll make the animation take place. Zooming in, along with the floor, I also want to add a wall just to add some background to it. With the plane already selected, press Shift D, Y to slide it along the Y axis, move it with your mouse, place it there, R, rotate it on the X axis by pressing X, and there I have my wall for the background. Looks okay. What we are looking at achieving in this tutorial is just to familiarize you with the basics of Blender. Now zoom in by scrolling the mouse wheel, grab the scene, make it position in the center of the screen, and now this is the view that we are seeing in the viewport. This is not what the camera sees. So we make the camera align to the current viewport by pressing Ctrl, Alt and numpad 0. So that brings the camera and positions it right at the viewport. Now currently the camera is 1080 by 1920 pixels. We're going to change that and make it a square. So I want a 1080 by 1080 pixels view. If you want to fine tune the camera, select the camera, G to grab the camera, X axis to pan it, G, Y, move it on the Y axis to zoom in on the scene. There we go. Yeah, that should be fine. Now I'm going to add a bouncing ball animation to this scene. So I want the ball to start from here. So what I need to do is, if I add any object, it's going to add an object with the 3D cursor at its center. So first I want to move the 3D cursor to the position where I want the ball to appear. So to do that, you press Shift and right click on your mouse. That brings the 3D cursor here. Now when I add a ball shape, which is, maybe I'll use a icosphere here, it adds the ball right at the center of the 3D cursor. So the ball is too large. So I'll first change the attributes of the shape I've introduced, reduce the size. The radius controls the size of the ball, and increase the subdivisions, make it 4. Now before starting the animation, let's put some color into the scene. I have the ball selected. I'll go to the materials panel, add a new material, and let's make the ball red. Select the plane, create a new material, green. Select the other plane. This time I'm just going to reuse the material I already created. So when I go into render view, this is what my scene looks like. So I've got a red ball against a green background. I'll go back into object view, and it's time to start the animation now. Hit 1 on your numpad to have a frontal view. Now we know exactly where the horizon is, we know where our object is, and we already know that the camera is able to capture this scene. So in fact, I can hide the camera right now. So starting from here, I want the ball to bounce out here, a big bounce to the center, a smaller bounce, loses its bounce, and dribbles away. Yeah, we may not even need to go that far. Okay, so now how do we add animation in Blender? We work with keyframes. So right now what we have here is we have got frame 1 to frame 250, and our default frame rate is 24 frames per second. So that's something like a more than 10 seconds of animation. 10 seconds would be 240 frames. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end the animation in 2 seconds. So I just need 48 frames. I start with frame 1 and I add a keyframe here. So select the object I for insert keyframe and insert a keyframe for location, because I'm not going to change the rotation or scale of this object. So just insert a keyframe for location. There you go. You can see here it's added the object transformation keyframe for location here. So that's the first keyframe that I've got. Now I'll move to frame 10, and at frame 10 I want the ball to have fallen to the ground. So I grab the ball, G, move it on the Z axis by pressing Z on the keyboard, bring it down there and drop it. And grab it again, move it on the X axis by pressing X, and we'll leave it. Okay, insert keyframe, location. So that adds one more keyframe at frame 10. Now if you see, all the in between frames, frame 9, 8, 7, have been added automatically by Blender. It follows the straight line between the 2 points and makes the ball fall down here. If you want it to follow a curve, you need to then add the frames manually or change the frames. So at frame 4, I'm going to grab the ball, move it along on the X axis and bring it out here. Insert keyframe, press I to insert the keyframe for location. There you have got one more keyframe at 4. So now it follows the path that we want the ball to follow. We go to keyframe 15, grab the ball, move it along on the X axis, G, C, up. You move up by moving your mouse basically, and I to insert keyframe for location. So one more keyframe added at 15. At 20 we want the ball to complete its second bounce. Grab the ball, C, bring it down, G for grab, X, move it along the X axis, I, insert keyframe for location. And similarly we complete all the other actions. So go to 25, grab, X, move it there, grab, C, up, insert keyframe for location. At 30, grab, X, move it along, grab, C, bring it down, insert keyframe for location. Now it should be quicker bounce, so I'm just going to go 2 frames, grab X over there, grab Z, a little bit of a bounce, insert keyframe for location. Again 2 keyframes, grab X, move it along, grab Z, little bit of a dip, insert keyframe. Now we just make it dribble along, so every couple of frames just move along the ball and on the X and Z axis. So grab X, let it move there, grab Z, a little bit up there, insert keyframe, move 2 frames, again grab X, move it along, grab Z, insert keyframe, 40. So yeah, let's end it at 40 frames. Here I'll just grab it, move it on the X axis, and it's lost all its bounce, but it's still got some momentum, so it's just rolling across the ground. Insert keyframe for location. There you go. So if you play this animation, that's where you got the movement of the ball now. Okay, so time to look at it from the camera perspective. Press 0 on your numpad. That's what the camera sees. And if we play the animation, okay, I think I'll add one more frame to make it go to the end of the camera's frame. So select the ball. So all of these keyframes are attached to this ball object. 44. Grab the ball, move it on the X-axis, and make it come to the end of the camera frame. insert a keyframe for the location. Okay, let's have a look at how it looks in the rendered view. Look at the rendered view. Yeah, we got a, and that's our animation. To render this animation, you would go to render. Instead of render image, you'll do a render animation. What this does is it creates the various frames. So frame 1, 2, 3, as you can see, the number of frames is increasing, and it creates a PNG file for every frame that you're seeing in the render. So I'll pause the video and come back when all the 48 frames have been completed. It takes about less than 2 seconds for every frame to render. We have completed rendering all the frames. We have 48 frames rendered. Now if I go to render view animation, it's going to play those 48 PNG files in a sequence. As you can see, the annotation that we created does not get rendered in the final images. So that was a very basic tutorial on how to use the basic commands and hotkeys of Blender, and creating some very simple objects and a very simple keyframing exercise. This will actually help you to proceed on to those advanced tutorials. Go ahead and watch the other tutorials, and best of luck.